and welcome to Mindful Parent Connected Child. This is part of the Practical Parenting series offered by Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters. We have several programs actually on the website. We're pleased this afternoon to be doing Mindful Parent Connected Child. My name is Michelle Tryon. I am your facilitator as well as your presenter this afternoon. I'm really excited to be here. I've been with CHKD for about 9 years. I'm a certified child life specialist, which means that I have a background in child development and family systems. And I'm here as a parent educator. I'm a parent educator since 1987. And I'm involved in mindfulness for several years now. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to combine parent education and the idea of mindfulness. So let's go ahead and get started. That I would like you to do, if you can see over on the side there, you have a chat box. If you are here in the live presentation, if you are watching this or listening to this as a pre-recorded session, of course, you're not going to have a chat box there, so you can just think about this. If you're here at the live session, I want you to actually in the chat box to type in when you think of mindfulness, what comes to mind? What are some of the words that, just kind of pop up for you? And if you're not in the live session, just consider that. When you think of mindfulness, what to your mind pops up for you? A couple seconds to do that. So here in the chat box is words like meditation, attention, being aware, and goodness. Those are great words that really do speak to mindfulness. And so, when we're being mindful with our children, let's just take a look at this next slide here. And this comes from the work of Jon Kabat-Zinn. Mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. So certainly being non-judgmental of our children and their actions, and also non-judgmental of ourselves. Connection is the energy between people when they feel seen and heard. And that's a quote there from Brene Brown. So feeling seen and heard, certainly important for children, and also important for us that we feel like our children are understanding what we need from them, and we're being heard, especially as they get older. I work with many parents over the years who talk about their children not listening. So that would key into that, feeling seen and heard, that everybody is feeling like their communication is being received. What gets in the way of being in mindful connection or communication with our children or with spouses, just general in the family? What gets in the way of us being in mindful connection or communication? So again, I would ask you just to go ahead and type in the chat box. And if you're listening to this as a recorded presentation, just to think about that for yourself. What gets in the way of that? Really being present, not mentally in that moment. So what we're seeing in the chat box here is busyness of life. Having more than one child needing attention. Work gets in the way of parenting. School. Traffic. After you've worked maybe all day and you're coming home through traffic and you're really uptight by the time you get home. This is a big one, that financial stress that families feel. Great ones, and also some ones that I would agree with and have heard before. So obstacles or challenges here, we have multitasking, stress, expectations, time, that of lack or not enoughness. So if we look up here where it says stress, the gap between what we think is happening and what is happening. So if we think that our child should be cooperating with what we're asking them to do, and things should be going smoothly, and they're not, we stress ourselves out by resisting what it is, what we should be happening and what is actually happening. Thoughts of the past and our thoughts of the future. So really important keywords here. The intention. So intent is when we do something on purpose. So our intention with our children, if we're constantly bringing ourselves back to what is the purpose of this interaction, seeing mistakes, behaviors even, as opportunities to teach or guide or connect with our children. Much of what they're doing we see as misbehavior, but we're all seeing the behavior. We're not knowing necessarily what their intention is behind the behavior. Give an example. If you have a child who is pestering their brother or sister, and anybody who has children more than a child will probably relate with the idea that one child is pestering the other child. So you see the behavior. Intention is what we don't understand. Perhaps their intention is they're feeling lonely and they want attention from their brother or sister. They want some kind of a connection, and they're not knowing to get that connection rather than pester the brother or sister. Or a sister who's a little bit older is playing with friends, and a younger brother and sister keeps kind of coming in and bothering them. The intention is a sense of belonging. I want to belong with this group. I want to be a part of it. So we see behavior and not necessarily the intention. And then the key important thing when we're looking at mindfulness in our parenting interactions is compassion. Compassion for ourselves and compassion for others. It's critical here. This is an adult-first model that if we're being compassionate with ourselves, we're teaching children to be passionate with themselves when they make mistakes, or when they have that sense of there's not enoughness, that we can really do a number on ourselves by kind of getting on ourselves and saying, I'm not good enough. My child is misbehaving, and so I'm thinking that that's a reflection of my parent abilities. I'm having compassion for myself and compassion for the child at the moment that the misbehavior or the behavior is happening. To really be aware of is what takes us away from being in the experience of whatever is happening with our child. So being with our children. And if we go back to that gap between what we think should be happening and what is happening, that can be there. Our expectations of our children, are they too high or are they too low? An idea of not enoughness. So this is interesting. At one of the classes that I was doing in person, a mother said to me, well, it seems as if everybody else, when I look at their Facebook page, just has these wonderfully well-behaved children, and they have all these pictures there of them, at the park or at the zoo or having this wonderful birthday party, or, they're dressed up in their Sunday best, and they're just looking, like they've got it all together. So that is a snapshot of someone's life. And, of course, you're not going to take a picture and post it to Facebook necessarily when your child's having the meltdown, when you're trying to get dressed in Sunday best so you can take a picture. So we're just seeing snapshots of other people's lives. And comparison is certainly not being compassionate with ourselves. It's being judgmental of ourselves. I'm not good as, or have to prove, on the other hand, I am as good as, or I'm better than. And so pictures that I'm taking are setting up this kind of idea of who I am, and it's a picture-perfect family. So we have to recognize that there's no such thing as a perfect family. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. There's no such thing as a perfect child. And when we're in experience with our children with passion and non-judgmentally, we can actually have more opportunities to enjoy the moment and more opportunities to actually teach and be present to our child, perhaps when they're having a strong emotion or something is not going their way. So the phases of mindful parenting. And this work actually comes from Pilar Picone, who has written a book called Mindful Parent, Happy Child. That's a book that you can get, just by going on to Amazon.com, or she actually has a website as well. Just to mention here, might be a good place for me to mention this. Also, the work that I'm talking about today, you'll find a lot of information from Becky Bailey, and she does a program called Conscious Discipline, phenomenal resource. And she has a website as well, consciousdiscipline.org, I believe it is. But Becky Bailey, if you just Google Becky Bailey, you will find information there. And then also when we're looking at parenting and mindfulness, certainly an important name is Dan Siegel, and has done several books, one of them being, I think it's called The Whole Brain Child, and that really talks about how to help our children self-regulate, how to be self-regulated ourselves. So we're having compassion and, again, being present with composure when we're with our children and they're not going as we think they should. Let's take a look at the 3 phases of mindful parenting. And we'll spend a little bit of time on each of these. But the first phase is mindful awareness. And the second phase is self-intervention. And the third phase is deliberate action. So we're looking at all 3 of them. The ultimate goal is to be, and I hate to even use the word goal when I'm talking about mindfulness because you want to be present in the moment. But when we're really looking at, what are we wanting to be at the front of our interactions with our children is deliberate action, that we're taking deliberate action and rather than just reacting to whatever's happening in the moment. So awareness, what are my states of well-being? So physically, mentally, and emotionally checking in with yourself. So what's going on with you? Notice, right? So if I ask you right now just to be aware of your 5 senses, to count and see 5 things that are in view. What are 5 things? Maybe you're looking out a window, you're noticing nature, or maybe there's not a window and there's just a picture, or maybe you're noticing your children playing, or maybe you're noticing whatever it is. So take just a couple seconds here. Notice 5 things that you're seeing. And now it's 5 things that, and you may even want to close your eyes for this one. So 5 things that are making sound or pressing even that is quiet, but really tune into that 5 things that are in your sense of sound. And things that are body's sensations right now. So really to tune into your body, which oftentimes we neglect. 5 things that your body is feel. Maybe your stomach is growling because you're hungry, or maybe you have tension in your left shoulder, or maybe your nose is sniffly. There's 5 things that you're noticing about your body at the moment. Okay, so at the time that you're actually doing that, you're really just paying attention to what's in your environment, paying attention to your body. That brings you very much into the moment, and that being in your state of physical awareness. So what am I seeing? What am I hearing? What my body feeling? Your physical. Now, the next thing that happens is when we're even in tune to that, we begin to have thoughts about what's happening. So we filter it through our thought system. Maybe I notice the growling in my stomach and I say, oh, I'm hungry. Or maybe I notice that there's pressure under my eyes and I say, geez, I really didn't sleep well last night. So part of what we do is filter it through our thought system, and also have an awareness of, oh, am I hungry? Am I tired? How well am I taking care of my needs? Taking care of my needs. If I have compassion for myself and I'm taking care of my needs, then it's much more likely that I can have compassion for my child. The thing to think about is that our children, especially very young children, are very in tune to the environment around them, but not necessarily filtering through a thought system. So you think of an infant, they are looking around, there's visuals, there's sounds, there's sights, sensations in their bodies. There may even be smells in the environment. If they're seeing, maybe there's a taste of sweetness. So there's a lot of sensations going on in their body, and they're using their 5 senses, but they don't necessarily have the capacity to bring it into language and interpret it. there a pleasant sensation or an unpleasant sensation? And we're communicating to us. They are not necessarily communicating with words. So communicating through the cues that they give. Either they're smiling or they're crying or they're wincing or they're whatever it is that they're doing. Even their body, maybe it's sweating, so you know they're too warm. Or their fingers are cold or their little toes are cold, so you know that they're too cold. So much time we're having to interpret for our very young infants what's going on with them. And we're trying to help them be comfortable. So rather than thinking about, let's get this baby to stop crying, think about how can I provide comfort for this infant. Now, as our children begin to age and grow, we somehow lose track of that. They are expressing with their behavior, and maybe at this point they have some words to use, but they are expressing through their behavior what's going on with their body and their senses and even their thinking as they get a little bit older, or their feelings. And so if we look at that and we take whatever's going on with them and we go back to how can I help this child be more comfortable? How can I into what might be this child might be experiencing? How can I be present with this child so I can help them work through whatever discomfort going on? Okay, about our emotional states of well-being. So our feelings, and our feelings just happen. We can call them emotions, energy and motion. Feelings are the labels that we give to that energy. So when we are tuned into our body, we can recognize where and when we're feeling perhaps frustrated. Are we feeling stressed? Are we feeling sad? What's actually going on? What is the emotion that is kind of surging into my body during the time that I'm trying to be present with my child? If I'm stressed and my thoughts are kind of off in the other room, thinking about the bills or the emails or the argument that I had with my spouse, I'm not truly being present to my child. So really thinking about emotions are a wonderful way for us to take note to this. Okay, maybe I need to pay attention to this. I'm noticing that I'm feeling tight. I'm noticing maybe a pit in my stomach. So that would signal stress or anxiety. And so what thoughts do I attach to this feeling that is keeping me stuck here? Am I thinking, waiting, ruminating in something that's, maybe going to happen or maybe not going to happen? So has my emotion has kind of let me know that I'm out of alignment with being present in this experience and really truly being open to what's happening in the moment. Give me somewhere else. So emotions, just to kind of generate, are wonderful for letting us know that we are not being in the present moment. Present moment, not in the past and not in the future, then everything is okay. There's no lack. We're okay as we are in this moment. And when we, from that point, when we're acting with our child, we can go to a place of higher reasoning when we think about deliberate action. What does this child to learn? Do to make this child comfortable, or this child comfortable? Or can I have my composure? My child is having a strong emotion. How can I support my child through that? Interconnectedness, or tuning into others. Okay, with me so far, we're connecting in with ourselves. This is just the self-awareness piece. What's going on with my senses? What are my body sensations? What thoughts, feelings am I having? What are they trying to tell me? And then can I connect, interconnectedness, tuning into others? And with infants, we call this attunement, and that promotes attachment. We do something called serve and return with our infants. We try and read their cues and we respond. And they read our cues and they respond back. So it's kind of like a dance. It's a give and take. And with others, we think about, as they become more independent, if you have that solid and secure base for your toddler may move away and curious and explore the environment and then come back. Or even just look back to make sure you're there, still there and noticing and put them. Feel secure and exploring the environment because they know that you're there. And they're part of that interconnectedness. Now, what happens as our children get older? There's that give and take of conversation. Are we truly listening to what they're saying in order to, kind of read under the radar sometimes, or read between the lines, you might say? Are we listening to their body language? Are we tuned in to what's going on with them? Are we providing ourselves an openness to conversation, that open and relaxed body awareness? Children are very good at perceiving and very poor at interpreting. So if we had a bad day at work and we're kind of closed up or brushed or hurt them, they will pick up on that, obviously, but they won't interpret it that, oh, Mom had a bad day at work. They will interpret it at, Mom is mad at me, or she doesn't have time for me, or whatever it is. So they're good at perceiving and poor at interpreting. They interpret everything as if it's personal. And so it helps for us really to have a conversation. If we want to be present with our children when we're with our children, especially older children, you can say to them, gee, I had a really rough day at work. Give me a couple minutes to decompose, take breaths, and actually model that for them, having compassion for ourselves. And then I really want to hear about what your day was like. Having a couple of minutes when you get home just to reconnect before you move on to the next thing, before you're checking your emails or making dinner, and before they get to homework. Can we just have that time to connect? We're in some deep breaths, and I have decompressed myself so that I can be present for my child. And I'm probably thinking, I have to add more to my already busy schedule. So that's not the purpose of mindfulness, to stress you out by thinking you have to, find time to do mindfulness. The idea is it becomes a part of your daily life. So mindful living is a term we use, that you're really present in the moment and taking kind of mini breaks to check in with yourself and make sure that you're in composure or that you're feeling peaceful. If you're not, to kind of what are the quality of my thoughts right now? Is there something that I'm thinking that is keeping me from my peace? Am I resisting what is happening at the moment, and when we're different? So muscle, the more you work it, the stronger it gets when we come to mindful practice. And these are just some ideas of things that you can do. Coursework is really important. If you don't have time for breath work, just remember to breathe. Meditation and prayer. And it doesn't have to be that you're sitting. I know a couple people said, when you think of mindfulness, meditation comes to mind. It doesn't mean that you have to be sitting, crisscross applesauce on the floor, doing a mantra or quieting the mind. That can be helpful, and some people really prefer that way of meditating. But it can be a walking meditation. It can be a dancing meditation. It's just doing something that brings you into the present moment, into your body, and take your mind off that hamster wheel. We call it monkey mind, or we might call it, on the hamster wheel where you're just going around and around and ruminating on thoughts. So meditation is an opportunity, or prayer even, to something that's quieting to the mind. And then relaxation. So before even you go to sleep, can you do a progressive relaxation for all parts of the body? So you're starting perhaps at your feet, and working your way up, where you're contracting your feet and your ankles and then let go. You're contracting your thighs and your legs, holding on for a couple of beats, letting go, and then moving all the way up your body until you're doing your arms and your legs. Your arms and your hands and your face and your shoulders, bringing your shoulders to your ears and holding them tightly and then letting them go. So they're called progressive relaxation. I think right now, as you're listening, I'm going to have you just take a couple of minutes, probably a couple of minutes, a minute. I want you to move your up to your ears, and then relax shoulders, move them down towards back, as if shoulder blades are coming together in the back, and you're moving them up and then down and relaxing them away from the ears. And the shoulders is because many of us hold tension in our shoulders. We even realize that we're driving, or we're on the computer, or we're texting, or we're, whatever it is that we're doing, that we have our shoulders kind of up to our ears. And so just to take a moment every now and again to take a deep breath in and move shoulders away from your ears. So go ahead and do that right now. Take a breath in, hold it, shoulders, and breathe out a heavy sigh. Move your shoulders away from your ears and down onto your back. With the breathing is just to be aware of our breathing, and many times we're shallow breathing rather than deep breathing. So if we do pay attention on purpose to our breathing, while I'm breathing in peace and I'm breathing stress. And then at another level, I'm breathing in peace and I'm breathing out compassion when you're with your child. I'm breathing in composure and I'm breathing out compassion. So when you breathe in, to breathe all the way down into your belly, not a shallow breath, but breathing all the way down. You even want to count as you breathe in. So breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, hold it, and then breathing out, a big sigh out with the nose, and breathing out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do this with me right now. We're going to breathe in for 4, breathe in through the nose for 4. We're going to hold it for 4, and then we're going to breathe out for 6. And we're going to in and out through the nose. So it's a very calming thing for the body. So you can, get into a space where your feet are flat on the floor and you have free access to your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is able to expand and contract. Right. So now as I speak it, I will count, and I want you to take a deep breath in all down to your belly. So for the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then restart it again. I won't do that just for the sake of time, but if you count in your system when you're doing that, the shoulder, bring your shoulders up and relaxing, and doing a couple of counting breaths can be very helpful. And also shoulder rolls, or head rolls, I guess we would call them head rolls, where you take your head, and we do this automatically, but you do it on purpose with intention, so that you take your chin and put it down to your chest, and then kind of roll your head up towards your shoulder and back and around and end up back at your chin again, and then go the other way. And do that 2 or 3 times. You'll hear some snap, crackles, and pops. At least I'm hearing snap, crackles, and pops myself. But that is releasing some of that stress that we hold so much there. Okay. So as I'm speaking, I hope you're still all awake. We're getting you so relaxed here. Another one that you can try is focused attention, and I won't have you do this one right now. But if you take a candle, just think about how many times you'd like to sit in front of a fireplace or in front of a campfire and just stare into the fire. So this is a focused attention. You're taking something like a candle that has a flame, and you have to do this when you have some quiet time to yourself. But you're just focusing in and watching the candle flame and feeling almost as if you're getting drawn into that candle. And because you are focusing that candle, you're trying to still your mind or quiet your mind. Thoughts will intrude. Believe me, they will intrude. You'll start thinking about what you need to make for dinner, or thinking about something that someone said to you, or who knows, any number of things. Thoughts just kind of start flooding our mind when we try to be quiet. But as you're focusing on the candle, you try and let the thoughts just fall away. So come and they'll go. They'll come and they'll go. It's like a cloud kind of passing through your brain. So it kind of comes in, and you just don't get attached to it. You let it flow down on the other side. If we're thinking about, something else, we start to realize that we've trailed off. So you can have compassion for yourself and say, oh, geez, I really lost my attention and my focus on this candle, but let me pull it back and just focus on the candle. Sometimes it helps just to say one word, or a couple of words, and that's called a mantra. saying something like peace, ease, peace, ease, and joy, peace, ease, and joy. And you're saying that over and over in your head, what word it is. If you want to just say joy, 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 just saying the mantra sometimes will help with the focused attention as well. And as you get deeper into it, your mind starts to quiet. You can almost let the mantra go and just focus on the candle. Or you do the mantra without the candle or the candle without the mantra. So they're just some tools that you can use. There's no right or wrong way to do them. This is a part of the intervention. So I'm aware of what's going on in my mental, emotional states of well-being, and now I am moving towards self-intervention. And the more that I practice these, I even practice these when you don't really need them, so that they become a part of who you are. And when you do need them, you're able to just pull from them. So if I'm practicing some breathing techniques every morning, and it's to be noontime, and my child's having a meltdown because I cut their peanut butter sandwich the wrong way, then I can go to my state of calmness much easier if I hadn't practiced that breathing. All right, self-intervention. So looking at here is coming back to a state of calm. We call that homeostasis. And there's a few ways that we can do self-intervention. We can practice coming back to the state of calm. We can reduce stressors in our lives, or we can change our minds or our thoughts about the situation at hand or the intention of a child's behavior, which I talked a little bit about that earlier. So those are kind of our three options. I want to bring myself back to a state of calm so that I can be truly composed and present with my child. I want to reduce stressors. Like either or, you can do all of these things. Reduce stressors in my life, so there's going to be some things that I'm going to let go of. This was a Facebook thing that I saw that I thought was really cute. It just said, "My circus, not my monkeys." So are we pulling ourselves into the drama of other people, and really they can handle it on their own? So are some stressors in our lives, or some people in our lives that are causing stress, or some situations that are causing stress that we really don't have to be in? It's kind of the idea of learning to say no at times too, so that we can have compassion for ourselves and not judge ourselves. Not judging ourselves, thinking, people aren't going to like me or I feel guilty if I say no. It's really about reducing stressors and being present to what's important to us and our family. And then this one with it, changing our minds. So change our thoughts. We're just really thinking about changing the perception of what is happening at the moment. Teachers or work in child care centers. So let me just give this example. Say you have some children, between ages 2 and 4 in your classroom, and some 2-year-olds are playing on the floor in a circle area or whatnot, and they're just playing nicely. And then a child sees a toy on the side of them and kind of climbs through them and over them to get to the toy. So we think about that. What's the intention of the child who is climbing over the other children? A positive intention, although it wasn't a positive choice, the positive intention of the child was to get that toy. It was not necessarily to hurt the other children. They may not have even realized that they hurt other children. So think about the intention. Okay, and even saying that to a child, you really wanted that toy. So let's teach the child then how to go around other children to get the toy, by even demonstrating that. Let's go back and start over. We're going to start from here. You see the toy, you want the toy. We're going to walk around the other children and get the toy. And then as they're doing it, you're giving them some encouragement. For you, look at that. You can do it. I see you walking around the other children. That is kind, or that is helpful. Now, you may want to bring attention to the other children, especially if they're crying. You see that Susie is crying. She's sad. When climbed, it hurt her. So you want to make sure that you're building empathy as well. But when we're really looking at the intention of the child's behavior, most often the child is wanting belonging or significance. If they're behaving, if it's on purpose, especially, we can think about it as a call for help or a call for love. And then other times they're just trying to get comfort or trying to do something that is pleasing to them. So it's not necessarily that they're doing it to upset us, or that they're doing it and should know better. Remember, especially young children are in the moment so much that they may have forgotten what the rule was, or get so excited they don't have that delay of gratification. Really thinking about what's the intention of the child, and what are we thinking about the situation at hand? Are we thinking about how to resolve the situation at hand and how to teach our child to be empathic and kind, self-aware, or thinking this child's a little bully, and we're labeling that child and then thinking about all the ways that they are mean to other children. And that becomes a part of that child's self-concept, rather than thinking, okay, how can I help this child learn more effective ways of getting their needs met? Balance, changing minds. I know this stuff is easy for me to say, and it is challenging to do. But this is an adult first model. I can't actually show you this video, but this video, if you go to Dan Siegel, go to YouTube, go to Dan Siegel, and type in the hand model. I'm sure this video would come up for you. So what it's looking at, he does a hand model that's really a cool visual for this. But if you look at the picture here, there's three different areas of the brain. There's the brainstem, there's the limbic system, and then the cortex. And the brainstem on this picture is red. The limbic system is blue, and the cortex, the frontal cortex, is green. So the frontal cortex is the part that's right behind your forehead. The brain develops from the bottom up. Children spend more time in the lower centers of their brain, very much an emotional arousal kind of system in the limbic system, and survival in the brain stem. So the brain stem is looking at surviving. It's often an alarm system if a child feels unsafe or threatened in any way, as it does for us as well, but we have some filtering that we can do to let us know we're safe. So that is the part of the brain that says, am I safe? And the limbic system is the emotional center of the brain, so kind of emotion arousal. In the limbic system, we find that, our sleeping and eating patterns as well. But for children and for us as well, it's asking the question, am I connected? So am I safe and am I connected? And a cooperative child is a connected child. A child can connect and then can cooperate. If a child is in the lower centers of their brain because they're feeling unsafe or unloved, then it's going to be harder for them to go all the way up to the third part of the brain, which is the cortex. And the cortex is the thinking part of the brain. The last part of the brain to develop is part of the brain that is our executive center. It helps us organize things. It's the part of the brain that needs to be online for a child if we are teaching them a skill. They are open to learning. So a really kind of simple way to look at it is if you teach a child anything, we have to be calm, connected, before correct. So calm, connect, correct. Calm, connect, correct. I'm safe, I'm cared for, and so now I am in position, child, to be open to learning or cooperating. Realizing that we have all these three centers as well. We need to be calm, connected with our intention and our thoughts about this child coming from a place of compassion. And then we have access to the frontal cortex, which is the brilliant part of our brain that lets us know what we can do to help solve the problem rather than just reacting to the behavior of the child. So this to think about. The world is a friendly place and people are here to help you. False. So kind of go ahead and type in there. Do you think that's true or false? The world is a friendly place and people are here to help you. Being typed here in the chat box is that something, it depends. Some people are saying it's true. Nobody said it's absolutely false. But interpretation of the world. And so for our children, too, how are they perceiving the world? Do they perceive the world, especially their home environment? Do they perceive you as a friendly person who they could go to for help? The world is a friendly place and people are here to help you. So mom or my dad or my grandma or my teacher are people that I could go to that would be helpful to me. If I make a mistake, I can go to to someone and get help to correct that mistake. If I understand something, I can go to someone and get help for that. If I'm uncomfortable about something, I can go to someone and they can help me figure it out. So for our children, that is true. Others keeps you safe. Now, what about that one? So go ahead and true or false. Pleasing others keeps you safe. Okay, this one's a tricky one. It's a trick question. So we, as adults, would say false. I mean, that's not true. We don't have to please everybody in order to keep ourselves safe. If you're living in a home where there's domestic violence, children would say true to this. Especially if they're in a home where adults are out of control. So if I just please everybody, do my best to kind of tiptoe around to perceive things and try to respond to them even before they happen, hypervigilance. So if I please others, it keeps me safe or makes me lovable, which is the next one. Others makes you unlovable and unsafe. I'm not going to take the time just because we're trying through this pretty quickly, but I would guess that most of us as adults know that that's false, but children certainly will think that that's true. If you don't please someone, you may be unlovable and you may be unsafe. So we want children to have the idea of, number one, the world is a friendly place and people are here to help you. Right? If they think number two, and I'm not sure why this says 5, but it should say 3, number 2 or 3 are true, they're in a state of survival. And we want children to be thriving. Children are always deciding. So if I am feeling safe and I'm feeling connected and that people love me and are here to help me, then I can thrive in this world. I can learn new things. I can be curious about the world. I can, just be open to all the experiences that the world has to offer. If I'm just surviving, I am trying to get through the day just to keep myself safe. All right, on to the last one, the third one, which is about deliberate action. So before deliberate action, ask yourself, can I teach? Do I need to repair? Can I be an effective leader? So we're looking at the self-awareness, we're looking at the self-intervention, and now we're looking at deliberate action with our children or the children that we work with. So can I teach? Am I in the composure to teach? Do I need to repair? Have I done something? Have I, said something that I didn't mean, or have I, we might all do this times. You raise your voice to your child, or you hurt their feelings by, saying, I don't have time for this right now, or whatnot. So maybe I need to go back and kind of repair so that they're getting that connection with us, and then we can be an effective leader. So what are characteristics of or qualities of an effective leader? And so here I want you just to go ahead and type in, and for those of you who are listening to this as a recorded session, just think about it. What are some effective some qualities that they have? Maybe your favorite or that you see as a good leader. Okay, getting here is they're a good listener, clear communication, clear information about expectations, so they don't just say to do, they do what they say as well. Inspirational, that's a good one. Encouraging, they really being. Well, it's an effort. Okay, those are qualities of an effective leader. So now, and having said that, I want you to really think about yourself as the leaders in your families or the leaders in your classrooms. So if you are a leader and you are inspirational and encouraging and a positive model and you care about children that you're working with, you're a good listener and you're giving clear expectations and communication, those are all going to be wonderful qualities. So you may have come to mind different things, but there are qualities you want to say, okay, this is my litmus test. Am I being an effective or positive leader? And from our rational reaction, all right, so now we're in the highest and best part of ourselves, which is in that frontal cortex. You're going to be asking yourself 4 questions. I want my child to learn. Is what I am doing teaching that? Is there anything else? So is there some fallout from it if I'm not doing Would I know the best interest of myself and my children? And if so, what can I do differently? So those are questions you ask with deliberate action. I'll give you an example here. You have two children arguing over a game. What do I want my child to learn? Yes, you want to actually put it in a positive, not say, well, I want them to learn not to argue. Right? No, that's a kind of a double negative. So I want them to learn to resolve conflict. That's actually what you want them to learn. You want them to learn to resolve conflict. Is what I'm doing teaching that. So you could go over and just take the game and say we're done playing for the day. If you can't get along, you're not playing the game. Is teaching them to resolve conflict. Not necessarily. It may be teaching them to take a time out or take a break. And so if you really wanted to teach resolving conflict, you could say, okay, you go over there and think for 5 minutes. You go over there and think for 5 minutes. I want you to be thinking about when you come back, how to resolve this conflict. Are you going to manage to take turns? So I want you to come back with some ideas. And when they come back, then you're talking to them, well, what ideas did you come up with? Taking the game away, though, is not necessarily teaching. So is teaching anything else? Is there any fallout from that? So the fallout from that could be that they're learning a skill that you want them to learn. If you were yelling at them when you were saying, I'm going to take this game away, and, you two can't get along. I can't believe how many times we have to go through this. No one's listening. You kind of add on the insult to injury, which can happen when you're in the lower centers of your brain. There could be some fallout for that. Right? So the child is then going away frustrated because they can't play the game, but also feeling like they can't win, right? Like there's something maybe wrong with them. So is there any fallout? That's what that question is asking. If so, what can I do differently? And I give you an example of what you could do differently. You could also just come over and say, okay, I see that there's a disagreement about the game. Let's work through it. And right at the time, say, let's pause the game and let's kind of talk about what the situation is. And then do some negotiation or some compromising skills that would be helpful for children in the long run. Will help them in social situations. And then this is a pretty simple one. This is kind of one of my go-tos. So it's ACT, acknowledge, communicate, and target. So you want to be acting mindfully. So you can either ask the 4 questions or you can just kind of go to this, especially if the child isn't upset. And you acknowledge your child's feelings or intentions or simply state what you see. So the acknowledgement part is validating that they have the right to feel whatever it is that they're feeling, or they wanted that toy, like the example I gave before. So you understand that their intention was not a negative intention. And feelings are never negative. They're not good or bad. They just are. So if you say to a child, you're having what you see, your face is scrunched up, your hands are in, you seem mad, something happened. So you're acknowledging feeling, you're stating what you see, and you're giving them an opportunity to feel connected. And to the C, which is communicate. Now, you have to communicate some calming, really upset. So calming would sound like, you're safe, it's okay, you can handle this, take some deep breaths, have them practicing some calming, just like you did practice, the breathing and stuff when you're not upset. So you can teach children some calming techniques that they can use and then they're more likely to be able to access that when they are feeling upset. You can communicate in the form of roles and rules, safety and fairness, or just connection. I'm here for you. But the communicate part is where you're actually helping them get back to a place where they can think, setting limits if they've done something that is unsafe or dangerous. So you do have to be a little bit firm if it's something that they've done that's unsafe. So they maybe hit someone. You said you're mad, and then you communicate hitting is dangerous. Right? So going to just really use your firm voice for that and set some limits. Roles and rules. That we have that says we keep our hands to ourselves, or we use our words. And part is when you target or troubleshoot. So you focus on solutions, always focusing on solutions. So if it's a very young child, you may have to target what they're going to do. Like the example I gave with you're actually having the child who across the other kids to get the toy, get up and move, and you're targeting, showing them how to move around and get a toy, or asking them to use their words to ask for the toy, and you're allowing to do that. And then teach or troubleshoot. So for older children, the troubleshooting can happen. You give the solution, give the responsibility back to them to come up with a solution. So, I gave the example that you're going to separate for a couple minutes here, 5 minutes or so. You'll be focusing on solutions. You're going to be calming yourself down. When you come back, I want to hear what the solutions are. So there is self-awareness, self-intervention, and now let's focus on the solutions. So acting mindfully, ACT, it's purposeful parenting. And we actually have a purposeful parenting handout that goes into a little more detail with this on our CHKD.org/parent resources page. We have some other webinars there. We also have resources that are printable. So this would be a good one if you think this particular technique would work well with you or children. Let's take a little bit here. Being a mindful parent means being aware in the present moment, seeing mistakes and upsets as opportunities to connect and teach with compassion for yourself and others, being a moment to experience the joy of parenting with gratitude. And I love that word there, joy, that you really, are there enough moments that you're really just enjoying your children? It's not just, we got to get this done, and like being in the experience of being a parent. If you're in the classroom, you chose that career because you love children, I'm guessing. So are we enjoying the time that we're spending with children? And we are seeing and upsets as opportunities to connect and teach, then we can be joyful even in those moments, or we can model, that there is happiness and there is joy and we're friendly and we're here to help. And we're just happying up children and expecting them to be happy all the time. We're actually allowing them upset to express themselves when they're sad or mad, and giving them effective ways to do that. So is a connected child, a misbehaving child, a discouraged or disconnected child. So connected children are stuck in survival mode, and connected children can thrive. So what can you do to connect with a child today? Look at that. So I mentioned joy. Laughter actually increases endorphins in the brain. Also doing surprising, unexpected responses. So your child isn't expecting you to do something silly, or be curious with the child. I wonder what would happen if we did that. In closeness, so just, touching, connecting, cuddling with your children. Older children, giving them a pat on the back or rubbing their shoulders, or just making that connection. Even children who are older do need that physical connection. Self-awareness, so that's for us, being self-aware, and also helping the child to understand what are they feeling in their body if they're angry, or where do they feel it, so they become more self-aware. Play is a wonderful way to connect with children, and I really do love the book Playful Parenting by Lawrence Cohen, and I do recommend to families, one of his recommendations is spend some time in child-directed play every day. So even if it's only 15 minutes when you get home, you're all reconnecting after a day away, they've been at school or you've been at work or they've been in childcare or whatnot, that you spend 15 minutes in child-directed play so that they are feeling that connection with you. And the child's feelings is that acknowledgement of power struggles, so you're firm and kind. You're not too kind, which means that you're giving the child too much power. Does not help children feel safe if they feel like there's no structure in the environment. And you're firm, just firm enough that they feel safe. So you're firm, which is respectful of yourself, and you're kind, which is being respectful of your child. And then release of feelings, and in lots of different ways to do that with children. Certainly dancing or shaking it off or that type of thing is are some fun ways to release feelings. So I want to spend 5 minutes here to do a guided visualization with you. This is a sample practice called Kindness to Myself and to My Child. Go ahead, and if you can, find a comfortable spot. And you want to, even if you're sitting, put your feet on the floor, the floor, have your hands down to your side or relaxed in your lap. I'm going to read through something, and as I read it, I want you just to say it in your mind, quietly in your mind, and really feel the intention of the words. So I'll go through the first time, be yourself. So you'll be saying, may I be well, etc. And then the second time, I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to use my son's name. I'll be putting his name in, and you will be putting in the name of your child. More than one child, you might want to switch it off. You can say one child first and the other child the second, or when you have an opportunity to actually work through this for your children. Okay, so let's just find a place to sit that is quiet. A few actions. Sit yet remain alert. Feature in your breath. Just know of your breath as it enters and leaves your body. Notice in and your breath going out. Physical sensations or thoughts, and allow them to enter or leave your body and your mind at will. Thoughts flow past. Lids or close. Bring in attention or mind an image of yourself. Following affirmations silently. May I be well, peaceful, and at ease. May I ease of heart. May I be and free. And now filed. May be. May days full and at ease. May the ease of heart. Day be happy and free. Take a let that settle in. To return to body. Water your open and notice how you're feeling now. Your awareness, perhaps your computer screen where you've been watching this. And a couple of links. You have my address if there's any questions, comments, and you also have the hkd.org/classes website, which will take you to our calendar of events. We do many events in the community, and so those events are all free. We go throughout Hampton Roads, spend time in Chesapeake and Virginia Beach and Norfolk and Oy Point. So hope that you can join us for some in-person classes. And then also, if you wanted to go to that chkd.org resources, you'll see additional webinars there and some parenting resources. So I just want to thank you for participating today or tuning in on this if you were listening to the pre-recorded session. And to all presence, ease, and joy in connecting your children.